Welcome back to the LPR Trading Group YouTube channel. It's Dave again. I've got another video for you guys today. I'm just doing a short little intro here. This video actually came on spontaneously throughout the day. We had a question in the room, and someone in the room asked, why is this delta right here a negative and this print closed green? It was a great question. We jumped on voice. I luckily recorded it because it was a very good session. We talked about why that could happen. We also talked about order exchanges and how orders flow through the market, both passively and aggressively. So if you guys are at all interested in the footprints, the deltas, and how orders move themselves through the market, definitely tune into this one. I hope you guys enjoy. As always, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the charts. Trade safe. Cheers. Okay, so number one, Mo, really good question. If we have so much negative delta, how is it pushing up? Kind of confusing story due to footprints. We have to think about the auction as a vertical auction, right? The auction just goes up and down. It's that simple. Our charts move sideways to give us historical information, right? The charts move sideways for history so we can see what happened at different horizontal areas in the auction. So if we go like this, delete these guys. The auction is essentially like this. This is high of day, this is low of day, and the auction is just going like this. Up, down, up, down, up, down, right? It's literally a vertical auction. So when you have extreme negative deltas, let's say, it's like on this print here. On this print right here, extreme negative delta, price moves lower. Extreme negative delta, price move lower on this print. These are aggressive sellers here that have not yet found a bid or a set of buyers. They also haven't exhausted themselves and they're willing to move their orders down and sell aggressively lower. Now, when does the market turn around and pull up to the other side, to the long direction? It's one of two things or a combination of both. Sellers do not want to sell lower, or they found a buyer. The buyer holds price, and price drives to the upside. In this case, to me, what this looks like is aggressive selling, we break the low. Sellers just don't want to participate anymore. They're done, right? They're not willing to sell lower. So the buyers come into the marketplace, start driving price higher. This is the exchange, right? Sellers say this is a fair price to sell. Buyers say this is a fair price to buy. So the auction goes up and down, up and down, up and down. What is your...
I think he's asking about like the which is a good question, by the way. And guys, like Dave said earlier, ask the questions, because this is trust me, this is how we, everything that we know, we want to show it. Nobody's hiding anything, but if you guys ask the right questions, we can give you the right answers. The reason why I think he maybe was looking at it was he's looking at the overall delta and how the delta was like 478, but it pushed. But obviously is the aggression and where they put the aggression, but you can explain it more.
Okay, so let's look at it like this. Let's look at this from like scalp model perspective, right? We've got a print right here, this guy. It closes on a positive delta. Price drives to the upside. Right down here, we have a 1 out of 3 low, okay? We just have the 0. We don't have buy side imbalance at the lows, and we're not very clean stepping down, ascending in this area, right? The one thing we do have going for us at this low is sellers were aggressive here. We dip below the low and they could not continue aggression. So this has to factor into our trade at some point. If sellers break this low and they want to continue aggression, you should see big blocky orders below this low. Now price drives to the upside. What shows up when price drives to the upside? Buyers, right? This is where the buyers are aggressively hitting the offer. Sellers are trying to sell the offer here. So there's there's 4 types of orders. There's order number 1. You can aggressively buy the ask or the offer. So if you're doing that, you're a buyer, you're hitting the market order, you're hitting market, and it's buying the ask. Let me pull this up here. So if price is currently trading right here, 35.75, 35.50. If I hit market buy, it's going to buy the 35.75. I'm aggressively buying the offer. Okay, what is that going to show up as on the footprint? it's going to be, if I bought one contract, it's going to be one contract on the positive delta because I aggressively bought the offer. In order for me to aggressively buy the offer, who has to be on the other side of that? A passive seller, right? If I'm going to buy something, someone has to be selling something to me. So there's going to be a passive seller. So number 2 is passive seller. And that passive seller is going to have a limit order on the ask. So imagine price is going down and you want to sell right here and you put an order out at 45.29. Are you a passive seller? You're a passive seller. Yeah, I'm getting there. Yeah, so you're a passive seller, okay? On limit, on the offer, you're a passive seller. Once your order gets taken, how does it get taken? It gets taken by an aggressive buyer buying the ask, right? You're selling to the aggressive buyer buying the ask. So the combination of these two orders equals green, or in my chart, blue, positive delta. Okay, so passive sellers and aggressive buyers equal positive delta. Why? Because their interactions or transactions happen on the ask. Okay, what's the inverse of this? The inverse of this is aggressive sellers at the bid and passive buyers at the bid. If I'm trying to short the market right here and the bid is sitting at 43.33.25 and I hit market short, I'm going to sell the 43 or 45.33.25s. I'm going to be an aggressive seller at the bid. What is that going to show up as on the deltas? It's going to be a negative delta because I'm aggressively hitting the bid. Passive buyers on the bid. If I'm aggressively selling the bid, what do I need sitting on the bid? I need a passive buyer to transact my contract, right? So now that we know that, there's 4 different ways you can make an order or exchange an order in the market. 2 of them are going to equal positive deltas, and these 2 are going to equal negative deltas. So now that we know that, let's go into the print in question here. This print right here, right? This print in here. How is this print green or blue in my case when there's a negative delta? Great question. Let's go back and think about vertical auction theory, which is what we just talked about. Price drives to the upside. We have aggressive buyers in here pushing through the passive sellers, right? These positive deltas, we just learned that the positive deltas are passive sell orders at the ask and aggressive buy orders at the ask. We get the positive deltas. The next print opens. Price starts pulling back. What do these orders represent? Aggressive sell orders at the bid or passive buy orders at the bid. Let's say aggressive sells. There was 1,200 aggressive sells at the bid in this area, right? Just in this little area right here. We had 1,200 contracts being aggressively sold at the bid. If we look at the passive buyers on the bid, what if there was 1,500 contracts sitting passively on this bid? There's a surplus, right? There are more passive buyers sitting on the bid than there were aggressive sellers hitting the bid. So this in itself is going to make a negative delta. We have aggressive sellers selling to the passive buyers at the bid, right? That's how this delta becomes so negative. Now, at some point, the sellers that are aggressively selling the bid, they just say, holy smokes, we don't want to sell down here anymore. There's like some big guy down here. We can't get through him. We're just not willing to commit any more money. We're just done, right? We're just done. They just stop aggressively selling the bid. And what could they possibly do to get out of the trade? What could those sellers possibly do to get out of the trade? Right here. They could start putting sells at the ask. That's their stop, right? What do those turn into? Blue deltas. So there was a lot of aggression on the sell side here. Aggressive sells at the bid, met by a passive buyer on the bid that just couldn't push price down. The sellers gave up their aggression in this area. Price started driving up. Some longs started getting long. Some sellers started getting stopped out. The print closes blue. It just couldn't rotate the delta back positive. But that's the reason why we could still be negative on a green print. I hope that makes sense. Is that kind of making sense? I know that was a mouthful. Let me know if you guys have a little bit better understanding here of what goes on. It's important to know that there are 4 different types of transactions in the marketplace. Passive ask, so that's passive selling at the ask, passive buying at the bid, and then your 2 aggressive orders, right? Aggressive ask, aggressive bid. This is a buy, this is a sell. This is a sell, this is a buy. We can actually do this here. Let's go like this. Okay. So if we have a DOM here, right? We have a DOM here, and I want to sell the 4541s. Sell. There we go. What am I in the marketplace? What of the 4 orders am I? I can only be one. Which of the 4? I'll give you a clue. I'm passively doing something. Passively selling the ask. Exactly. I'm passively selling the ask. If price comes up and it fills me, is this a positive 1 to the delta or a negative 1? It's a positive 1. Exactly. Why is it a positive 1? Because when price pulls up to my order, an aggressive buyer has to aggressively buy my order in order for me to get filled. And the deltas are based off aggression at the offer, aggression at the bid. Okay? So this would be a positive. Someone has to buy my sell aggressively, which would equal a positive 1 delta. Okay? Make sense? All right. Now let me cancel this. Now I go down here and I say, okay, you know what? I actually want to buy the 4529s. I'm one of 4 orders here. What am I? I initiated an order in the market. I did not get filled right away, right? So it means it's not an aggressive order. My order is sitting in the market. I'm a passive buyer. Exactly. I'm passively buying the bid. I'm waiting for price to come back to me and I'm transacting at the bid. When I get filled here, is the delta +1 positive or -1? It's -1. And why? Why is it -1? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. An aggressive sell, someone sold me the contract that I wanted to buy, aggressive seller hitting the bid, exactly. Someone was willing to sell in this area. Exactly. Let's go here, turn this on. Okay, I'll bring this up here. All right, now I have buttons here. You see these buttons? This fully explains what we're talking about here. Buy market, buy ask, buy bid. In my opinion, these 2 buttons, buy market and buy ask, are pretty much the same, especially in a futures market like ES where we don't have crazy amounts of slippage everywhere. These 2 buttons are going to give you the same fills. These 2 buttons are aggressive. This is the aggressive buyer that's getting into the market now. They want in now. So if I hit this button, what am I? What of the 4 different trade types or entry types am I? It's got to be aggressive, right? I hit one button and I was in. Exactly, I'm an aggressive buyer. What did that transaction show up like on the delta? +1 or -1? +1, exactly. +1, because I'm aggressive. I'm aggressively buying the closest offer, right? I just want in the market now. I'm aggressive. I'm buying. It's green. It's a +1. Now, I mean, by now you guys are killing it. If I hit sell market, what am I? I'm aggressively selling, and I'm going to show up as a -1 contract on the delta. All of these numbers on the delta, these are the delta difference in contracts, right? So if you look at this, 555, 808, that's, we'll go into this actually, because this is going to help you guys too. And we'll make this bigger actually. Okay, let's go right here. We're going to pluck this print apart. This row right here, all the way back to 45, 30, 75, and I just want to look at this area. What does this 695 mean? What is it? They're transactions at what side of the book? There you go. Nailed it. HRC nailed it. So you were onto something, Mo. It depends on what type of trader it is, right? The left column is the bid column. The right column is the offer column or the ask column. So in the bid column, we can have one of two things. A passive buyer, right? A passive buyer, like if we pull this back up. If we pull this back up here. Let's flatten this out. So if this is the bid column, if I put an order here, I'm a passive buyer, right? I'm a passive buyer. So that all hits the bid column because it's either a passive buyer or an aggressive seller. In order to have a passive buyer that gets its order filled, he needs an aggressive seller to sell to him. He's waiting for price to come down to him for them to sell aggressively into him. He fills his buy, they fill their sell. Everything's kosher. Okay, now on the right side of this, 1164. This is the complete opposite, right? It's passive selling and aggressive buying that's making this up. 1164 minus 695 equals what? You guys have the number right in front of you. What does it equal? You don't even need a calculator. The number's on the screen. Exactly, 469. So what does the 469 mean? We know it's positive. We know the interaction at the offer was much larger than the interaction at the bid at this tick value. More passive buyers, other way. More aggressive buyers and more passive sellers. Remember, if we're blue, we're looking at the ask. What two transactions can happen on the ask? Passive sellers can sit above price and wait to get sold into. Or aggressive buyers, as price is driving up, can aggressively buy the ask. So the aggressive buying makes the positive delta. We'll go like this. We got a line. Up here is the ask, and this is the bid. Okay? This price is 4,400. This price is 43.9975. Right, we're one tick apart. This is the current ask, this is the current bid. Who can make transactions on the bid? Passive buyers or aggressive sellers. There we go. These are the two players that can transact a bid at this point. I can either put a limit order out to buy the bid, or I can aggressively sell the bid. But you say, Dave, well how do I like buy right away? If I just want to like aggressively buy, how do I buy? Well, that's for the ask then. You're going to be buying the ask. Who can transact on the ask? Passive sellers or aggressive buyers. This is how it works. Right here. Here's our 4 order types. Passive seller, aggressive buyer, passive buyers, aggressive sellers. I'll screenshot this. I'll send it out. Like, this is the only way the market can transact. Okay? And this is how it transacts. Now, if I brought my DOM up once again, right? I brought my DOM up here. Current price is at this 45.32. I can be passive aggressive as well. This is gonna throw you guys for a bit of a loop, but I gotta explain this. Like, you guys gotta know this, right? I can be passive aggressive as well. Let's go through a scenario. I want to buy at 45.24. Is this aggressive or passive? It's very passive, right? I'm putting an order out way down here. I'm fine with it. I'll wait for it. I don't care. I'm very passive. If we cancel this order, I buy market. I'm aggressive. We already know that. I want in price right now. What if I want to be passive aggressive? Well, I had an order down here and it doesn't look like I'm going to get filled. If I hit buy bid, see how it puts an order out on the bid and I'm not filled yet? I'm still passive. I'm waiting for the fill, but I'm aggressively throwing an order on the bid at price. I don't want to market into the position. I don't want to buy market and be in right away. I want to buy bid. See my orders out there? Just got filled. So that's more passive aggressive. I still want to be on the bid. I still want to buy at limit. I don't want to wildly chase something up. But if it just gives me this little tick to come back into price, then I want it. Sell ask, same thing. I'm passively sitting on the ask. It just filled me. Sell ask again, filled me. Sell ask. It's waiting there. The order's waiting there. It hasn't ticked into me yet. I'm passively aggressively selling. There we go. It ticked into me. I sold. Making more sense? Or like, are we cross-eyed and we're all screwy now? Okay, good. I'm glad. Okay, so I recorded this. I want to upload this for you guys. And listen, I love doing these like chats on just one single question because it answers a lot of questions that people might have, right? So keep these coming. We get questions like this and they're valid and good. Every question's a good question. I'm willing to do stuff like this, man. Repeat the statement about being on a limit buying, selling, which, okay. So it's right here on the screen, right? It's right here. So you're buying limit on the bid. Buying limit on the bid. So buying limit would be passively buying, right? Selling limit on the ask, exactly. Passively selling the ask. Aggressive sellers are aggressively selling what? The bid. Aggressive buyers are aggressively buying what? The offer. A buyer cannot aggressively buy the bid. He can't do that, right? It's not how the market works. It's just not how the market works. You have to limit buy below price. You have to limit sell above price. If you want to buy, you've got to aggressively buy above price. You can't, if you go to a store and today the chocolate bar is worth $1, right? You can't go to the store clerk and be like, here's 50 cents. Nah, dude, the price is $1. What are you talking about? If you go to the store clerk and say, here's $1.50, he'll give you the chocolate bar. I promise you he will. Because he just made 50%, an extra 50%, right? Right on, guys. All right, I'll kill the recording now. I'm going to fly out. Hope you all had a good day. Trade safe if you're still trading. Cheers.